Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you a concerned father, a citizen, and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I am very worried about the state of our government on every level. The recent and continuous attacks on our Second Amendment rights are a very real problem that need to stop. I would like to ask you to think very long and hard before jumping on the bandwagon to pass any legislation regarding further assaults on these rights, such as the assault weapons ban being considered tonight. I would ask you to vote with your heads based on facts, and the facts do not support the proposed legislation. There is a common misconception being crammed down the throats of the American public, the concept of assault weapon. A weapon cannot be an assault anything. Assault is a verb that requires action. An inanimate object is strictly incapable of this. A weapon does not assault anything. It is a tool used by a person for good or evil. These are also not the same weapons carried by the military, quite contrary to what seems to be the public perception. Fully automatic weapons have been illegal for citizens since the National Firearms Act of 1934. The weapons potentially being banned here may look like the weapons carried by troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they are far from it functionally. I hope that your education about these firearms is not coming from what you've seen in Hollywood. I would like to present two arguments and a resolution. First and foremost, I'd like to start with the facts. A recent CDC study ordered by the Obama administration, orchestrated by the CDC and carried out by the Institute of Medicine and National Research Council, it was found that individuals involved in violent crimes who defended themselves using techniques other than carrying a gun were more likely to be injured when compared to those who were carrying a concealed firearm. Let's boil that down. Simply put, guns save lives more often than not. The U.S. murder rate is the second thing I'd like to discuss. The United States is third in murders involving firearms throughout the world. I'm sure I agree with all of you when I say that this is a despicable and shameful statistic. However, if you dig a little deeper and you were to take out Chicago, Detroit, Washington, D.C., and New Orleans, the United States would be fourth from the bottom. What do these four cities have in common? The strictest gun control laws in the United States. Chicago's murder rate is 15.65 per 100,000 people, which looks nothing like the overall American rate, which is 4.2 per 100,000 people. The Midwest's overall 4.5%, or Illinois' overall 5.6%. But it does look like the murder rates of failed countries like Rwanda, Sierra Leone, and Zimbabwe. To achieve Chicago's murder rate, African countries usually have to experience a bloody genocidal civil war or decades of tyranny. The bottom line fact here, gun control does not prevent crime or protect lives. It creates unarmed victims, which is what criminals prefer. According to recent reports from the FBI, they indicate that the assault on semi-automatic rifles is misguided. In fact, according to the FBI reports, hammers, clubs, or blunt objects are more often involved in murders than rifles or shotguns. Simply put, you're more likely to be killed by a baseball bat, and no one is trying to ban those. And in fact, the weapons named specifically in this ban account for less than 2% of the homicides nationwide in 2011. These are facts, statistics that should guide your decision. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the potential and probable cost to the village. There are currently thousands of cases being fought in the courts throughout the country to defend each of these Second Amendment rights. Each of these carries a price tag for the city, anywhere from hundreds of thousands to upwards of millions, including a recent $3.6 million lawsuit where the city had to pay for the other lawyers. I resolve that people need to be held accountable for their actions. We cannot blame inanimate objects for the actions of men. We don't have a gun problem in this country. We have a crime problem. If you want to stop the violence, stop the crime. According to a recent study, the average person convicted of a homicide in Detroit had 9.6 average arrests prior to their conviction. Almost 10 times on average they were arrested prior to committing that murder. I think we should do better stopping them from going out and repeating crimes. Get rid of the ability to make a deal and walk. People commit crimes because they usually only get a slap on the wrist. Make them pay and you'll begin to deter crime. Please consider the facts and the potential cost to our village. Those will be your tax dollars and my tax dollars being spent to defend a lawsuit on senseless legislation that doesn't address an actual issue when it's less than 2% nationwide.
Jeremy,
Thank you for your time and
Thanks.
attention and consideration.
thank you.